I think I would teach the next generation, make them interested in this. Food security is very important, obviously, for any nation and sovereignty, obviously, but it will make us diverse instead of having our government only getting most of its revenue from mining. So we have a whole lot of land in South Africa, or in Africa rather, and it can be used for food production, and it could serve as well. Because the idea of people lacking food security in South Africa, yet there's so much land, doesn't make sense. So for me, I would teach the next generation and inspire them to start gardens in their own homes. Rather than wanting to start production first, let them know at least about the space first. Just understand that, yeah, for me, the youth, it depends on the next generation to take it over. Find new ways of growing these things also, you know. Do better than what we did.
And with your vertical farming, you can grow it even in the urban cities.
Yes. On rooftops, there's a lot of vertical farms on rooftops now, and which also helps urban areas to get food at quite a reasonable price also, you know. The inflation of food in the country doesn't make sense considering the fact that we have so much knowledge and land also, you know. Yeah, if I was a president, the youth.
They must get involved.
Yeah, they must get involved.
Why do you think the youth are not getting involved in agriculture?
Because firstly, the industry is being made to look like there is no money in it. Firstly, it's not sold as interesting or sold as having a future, you know.
Okay.
And the social media also now has pushed, and most of us want to be seen with jobs that are visible, that qualifications and have fancy titles to them, and yet you still are gonna have to work for somebody else.
Yes.
So,
but do you think there's money in farming?
There's an awful lot of money in farming. The thing is, most of us don't know how to run a business. Most of us end up using farming as just from hand to mouth. That's not what I'm looking for also. So we use, most of the time we run businesses for the sake of just having money to eat, you know. But if you run it like a full-on business, you will start realizing there's big businesses in the country, like your ZZ2, ShopRite most recently just started their own vertical program about 3 years back. Pick and Pay also has their own also. So if these big companies are going into that, who gives RCL all their raw products to make all that peanut butter, the flour and the sunflower? We all have to eat. So there is a lot of money in agriculture. It's that the industry is not a focus of ours as South Africans, as black South Africans or black Africans in general. I feel that kids could be put onto this, and it could be made fancy, it could be made much more impressive, it could be made much more interactive with them. In other races it is, you know. These kids in other white schools, you find kids going to Nampo, which is a Easter, what's this? An Easter show for farming. These kids go while they're still in high school. We don't. We only learn about this after varsity, and that's already late, you know. We don't have gardens in our homes.
Most of us learn because there's no job.
Exactly. And yet you find out most of us grow around empty spaces in our neighborhoods when we could have had crops. We could be feeding ourselves instead of at least dropping that food production cost, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Discover how farmers are using little space to produce more food using vertical technology. Good day, I'm Eyon, and welcome to Agricdeck. On today's episode, we're going to be discussing with a vertical farmer producing lettuce and some other vegetables.
My name is Muthusi Tau. I'm the CEO and founder of Elvedor. Elvedor is a vertical farming company, and it's our 3rd year, but it's our 1st year actually farming.
Okay, yeah. That's impressive. When you say your 3rd year and 1st year actually farming, what do you mean?
Our first 2 years of the company, actually, we were just working on developing a vertical structure.
Okay.
So I was developing an indoor vertical farm.
Okay.
So that they could use in restaurants, old age homes and stuff like that. They don't have to can produce their own stuff in-house.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I got a contract to start working in this space about a year back.
Okay.
Yeah, and then that's when I started production now. No longer just system development.
Okay, that's amazing. So, what really inspired you into vertical farming?
I have a background in biotechnology. I studied biotechnology originally, and I got to work for one of the leading seed companies in Africa.
Okay.
And then when I was there, I realized how big agriculture is in biotechnology also. So I decided to go into this because of that also, and a lack of a job also, honestly, to tell you the truth. I didn't have a job, so I decided
yours.
Yeah, I created my own work. I created my own work, and I couldn't just sit around with the kind of qualification I had also, so I decided I should start working more on that.
Okay.
So it puts both of my interests together, which is agriculture, tech and technology. Plus I studied biotechnology, so I just added all three together.
Okay, so you actually study, doing what you studied?
Yes, I'm actually doing what I'm studying actually.
Okay.
It has a wide variety, but yeah, this is the main part of it.
Okay, that's impressive. So, when you say vertical farming,
yes,
most of our viewers may not understand what is vertical farming.
Yes.
Please, can you explain vertical farming in layman terms?
All right, vertical farming is growing upwards instead of on the ground.
Okay.
So on the ground it goes horizontally instead of vertically. So we grow with mediums, as you can see here. The plant has to be in water, and that's about it. So the water is stored in a certain container. Okay. So this is what they call hydroponics. So vertical farming is a type of hydroponics. So things are grown up instead of flat, which gives us more ground or more plants to grow actually, because now it's flat now, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
So with this vertical farming, what are the day-to-day operations like?
The day-to-day operations would include cleaning. On a daily in the morning, basically what I have to make sure of when I get in here is make sure the system has water out of everything else. Since I use, this is a soilless system, as you can see, having water here and having quality of water in a certain way is very important for me. Okay. So water, for example, for the wet wall in the back there to maintain the humidity and temperature. If the system itself still has water in here, is the water coming into the system for me to feed more water into it also.
So more water is needed?
Yeah, a whole lot of water, but less than what you would need on a traditional farm or on a traditional farming setup. Because here, I don't have to water as much. The water stays in the containers as I showed you before.
Yeah.
Also, I get to recycle it.
Okay.
The water is recycled, so I get to use less of the water. So that water can be used quite a lot of times, and the nutrients can be picked up by the plants more than traditional.
Okay. In this farming method,
yes,
do you apply fertilizers or manure? I know there's no soil.
Yeah. So it's more fertilizers, and your nutrients have to be specific. It's unforgiving, unlike the outside. So here you need to be certain about the nutrients you put in. You have to maintain your EC, your pH, and make sure that the plant is being given proper conditions. So there's a balance to all of this where, Stan, you have to make sure that you balance the temperature, humidity, and also make sure that the nutrients are right also. Okay. So here, if things go wrong, they go wrong fast, unlike outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's very complicated.
Yeah, it is very complicated because, as I was saying to you, the morning routine requires me just to come in and look at them like any other farmer, make sure my plants are okay, look at them if they're fine. Is the system pouring in every single segment? The filters are washed, or else the pressure is not okay? Is the pump working? Because I feed them with a pump, so if there's no pump, if there's no electricity, I use solar also.
Yes.
If there's no sun like today, if there are lack sun, I'm not gonna have proper production. So it stops my system from working, from functioning properly. So there's very minor details to it. Very minor details. Yes.
How do you manage the power in this place?
Solar is the best way to do it. For vertical farming, because it requires a lot of electricity, so electricity is the biggest problem. Yeah.
This is the biggest
problem I have. So I use solar just to come up with a solution for that actually.
So you need to have a 24 hours power system in this place.
Yes, it is very required because you have to maintain temperature and humidity in here.
Oh, okay, there's a certain temperature that must be maintained.
Yes. If you miss the temperature, for example, these plants, you can see that they're not so green inside.
Yes.
Because they're not getting enough light or heat also.
Okay.
You understand? So as you can see, the color changes. This one is a bit redder. Those ones are a bit lighter.
Okay.
That's because due to sunlight and other factors. So it's very important that you maintain certain things.
Okay. At night, do you need a lighting system?
No, I don't light. Luckily, unlike most systems, I do not use artificial light in here.
Okay.
Because I get enough sunlight.
Okay.
And it's better off that way. We're trying to make sure that these systems are sustainable, guys. So if for them to be sustainable, we need to look at ways of using them in a long-term way. So lights are gonna be replaced. They're gonna augment your growth, sure, but they're gonna need to be replaced, and they're also an operational cost to you also. As opposed to when we go green with everything, I just need the sun.
Okay.
So the sun feeds me electricity. It feeds also my plants also at the same time.
Okay, that's impressive. So vertical farming.
Yes.
When you get your crops harvested, do they take normal time as opposed to the traditional farming method?
No, they are much more faster. For example, lettuce takes about 6 weeks. I have it for 4 weeks in here.
Okay.
But also there's a thing about it. It might be one of your next questions actually. But I get select number of crops. I can't grow everything in here.
Yes.
So that's why also I can only, due to the sizing of the container and the placement of the vertical structure, I cannot grow all the crops.
Okay.
So that's, for example, for spinach, for someone it would take them about 6 weeks again to harvest. For me, it would take me about 3 to 4 weeks. I can start harvesting, and I would harvest much more frequent than somebody else because now the conditions are proper, the plant grows well and grows faster.
Okay, that was my next question. Like you said, what kind of crops do you grow here?
Leafy greens, mostly leafy greens, and plants that don't have so much weight. As you can see, they tend to bulge. No, they might tend to. It's plastic, so it might fold over. The weight of the water and the plant also. It does not allow for me, maybe for tomatoes or for big trees or black plants, I can't go in that direction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it will be select crops also, and obviously I can grow all year round.
Yes.
So unlike the people outside, because I can maintain my temperature and humidity, so I can continue having bigger plants. I could have these leafy greens all year round, as compared to outside.
Okay.
Most people don't look at their market first. They tend to just grow crops because they like a certain crop or they saw a certain market. But most of the time, you need to figure out your market first. So for me to go into this crop, everybody else on the agri park does not grows different. I think you've seen Neo growing tomatoes and stuff like that.
Yes.
For me, I don't want to have crops that everybody else has. I could grow lettuce that's butterhead lettuce that our what's this? Informal market uses, but I chose not to. I chose instead to have crops that are better crops so that I can sell them to agro processors.
Okay.
So most people don't check what they want to grow, they just grow what they prefer. But for vertical farming, I would suggest, because it also matters in a matter of space. You get very little crops. You get about 6,000 here, more than a channel, but because they come out so quickly, they have a high turnout rate. You need to look at which crops you're growing and what your market wants. So for me, I grow specifically for what a customer wants.
Okay.
I don't just grow any crop.
Okay, so you search for the market first before even starting to grow the crops.
Yes, that's a good business tip actually. For everybody out there, make sure you have a market first and guarantee that market, or else you end up with crops that you will not be able to sell. Before I came here, there was someone in the vertical farm. They had grown this and they didn't have anyone to sell it to. They ended up giving it to pigs as feed.
Oh, to pigs?
Yeah. So which is a big problem. Now you can imagine losing about 16,000 plants.
Yeah.
So that's a big loss.
Okay. So in terms of the setup cost, I know it's expensive to set up the vertical crop.
Yes.
What are the basic things someone who is starting a vertical farm, what are the basic things they need to have in mind?
In mind?
Yes.
Firstly, temperature control. First things first. If you're gonna have a vertical, you need temperature control. But most people have verticals that don't have temperature control. They will have them in a tunnel, for example, and it will be open. It's cool, but you won't have all year production as you want in that case, because you're not controlling certain things. And also your nutrients also matter, because if you start giving them higher nutrients with certain temperatures or certain humidities, the plants won't grow well.
Okay.
And because there's a lot of plants also, you need to consider spacing and how much you expect to get back also. because growing things that would have like for example spinach, that could have high turnout rate where you could just harvest for like 3 months. You don't need to have seedlings. That's a bit of a problem for me. One of my biggest expenses also is seedlings, because after this, as you see, I'm cutting them now, I need to bring in new seedlings. With tomato, you could harvest for like 3 months. With spinach, you could harvest for the same time frame. So that's very important for you to understand and know, okay, I need this crop, I need to have it how long in a year, how often should I, my production plan, what is my production plan? And then if it's enclosed like this one, as I said, temperature control and electricity. We are in South Africa. Electricity can go out at any time. So I've once had a crop die in a matter of, I told you this the other day, in under 36 hours.
Yes.
The whole crop was dead. So that's a big problem also. Electricity, your type of crop, your market, and access to water, as I said before.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, as you said, so the setup cost is very expensive. It's about 1.6 to have it something similar to this. But that's, if you look at the amount that you're going to make back, it doesn't look quite well, honestly. Considering operational costs, considering your production costs also. So if you had to pay back the amounts for this, if it was one tunnel, you wouldn't make money back. So fortunately for us, the government was able to assist with this one.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you had to build it on your own, it would have to be a bigger one for you to be able to make a net profit at the end of the day.
And that would be long term?
Yeah, that would be long term in a matter of about 5 years. It's about 5 years, and also depending on your crops. So I'm saying this based on lettuce. If it was maybe on spinach or herbs, but those markets are very tight and highly regulated also by the people in there, because those products are sold directly to stores. So you can't have low quality also.
Yes.
So you understand that there's quality assurance also, there's agro processing after that. There's a lot that goes into it. Excluding the construction of this, there's a lot more.
Okay, that's impressive. Speaking of the seeds,
yes.
Where do you get the seeds for this vertical? Is it the normal seed for traditional planting or?
Yeah, most of them are, but I would not suggest that you buy non-pelleted seeds. There's something called pelleted seeds.
Yes.
They give you better quality seeds. So I buy my seeds from a company called Rigzwan.
Okay.
Yeah, Rigzwan gives me pelleted seeds, but they're for production. They're not for home use because they're very particular. And certain crops also, because you need resilience to certain diseases. So you need to have resilience to that. So if you don't have resilience, as I said in here, the temperature is a problem, humidity is a problem. So if your plants are not resilient to certain things, and as I said, they die very fast.
Okay.
They die very quick.
Okay, speaking of pests and diseases, I know you are a vertical farmer.
Yes.
Do you also face some pests or diseases?
Yeah, don't believe the lies, guys. Don't believe the lies. Vertical also has pest control. Most people tell you there's no pest control. We need pest control, as I want to show you here. Yeah, here. You see here we have powdery mildew.
Yeah.
This is powdery mildew, and because also I grow my crops as seedlings outside first, and then I bring them inside.
Oh, you grow them outside first?
Yeah, I grow the seedlings outside first, so they come out with some of the effects that you will get outside, like your powdery mildew, your worms, and other things. So I'm trying to set up now something inside here so that I can grow my seedlings from in here.
Okay, so if seeds grown inside will not have those
Yeah, I
effects?
will have less infections, because now outside they will not have exposure to outside. There's no flies or there's nothing else that will come in here and affect it. Though I will still have to pour pesticides, because plants generally on their own will have a certain disease, one or two, that are just prone to that one crop.
But at least you don't have weeds inside here.
Yes, you don't have weeds, you don't have to deal with ants coming in a lot. As you say, pesticides, it's better control as opposed to outside.
Okay.
But don't forget, it's indoors. So if, for example, I have powdery mildew or aphids, that spreads within about 2 days.
Yes.
The whole container, because it's enclosed. There's no proper air circulation or enough air circulation in here. So unlike outdoors where there's wind passing and everything like that. So you tend to have a lot of powdery mildew passes like nobody's story. The last crop I had aphids. In a matter of 2 days, the whole crop had aphids. So it's very, as I was saying to you when we started, in the morning you need to make sure you do a walk around. make sure, and there's over 6,000 plants in here.
Yes.
Check individual, and I'm a short person. I have to see also the ones on the top there. So plant health is very important. Plant health is very important.
Yes, very, very important.
Yeah.
And speaking of the crops, have you had a situation where you produce and at the end of the day had most of the plant didn't do well?
Yeah, my first production here was that way. As I said, this system, I don't know if I told you this already. Yeah, sure. As I said already, this system is a prototype. It was a prototype originally. So there's mistakes that I'm fixing with it. As you can see, there's wires on some of these things here. So I have to hold these down so that when the plants get grown, they don't fall over.
Okay.
And starts leaking on the rest of the plants. So with that being said, it also, in that case, affects everything else that I grow in here, as you were saying, as you're asking now, because these crops, they highly, very, very sensitive. So I need to make sure that every single thing is like taken care of, whether it's the trips or everything. And the system is a prototype, so there's a lot of flaws that I have to fix first before I get it to working properly. So I'm not producing full on yet. I still have to make sure of those little mistakes, as in holding down that water from dripping and dealing with water flow and pressure and all those stuff.
Okay.
So that's what makes it a bit difficult.
That's impressive. So in terms of the management,
Yes.
how many workers do you have here?
I'm the only worker. As I said to you, that's the reason why the crop died the last time, because I'm the only one here. So if the system fails sometimes, and I'll say to you the prototype, I have to figure out what's wrong here. So this is my third crop, as I said to you. I haven't made enough money because I'm still figuring out the mistakes to the system, also to hire somebody else. The people that are helping me now are friends and family members right now. So also, because I said to you, because of the size, the production costs are high. The operational costs are also high also. So I have to maintain first, make sure the business is sustainable first, and then I can hire people. So I work alone for now.
Okay.
On a daily, and that's a Monday to Monday situation. Except when I'm harvesting. When I harvest, because it's a time sensitive issue, because plants wilt very fast, I have to find help for that. These plants are already in their 4th week now. Today's Saturday, yesterday was their 4th week. And you can start seeing the growth in the plants already. Because the conditions are so good, they grow very fast.
Okay.
So they grow to a point where they pass that point. Like this is their maximum they could grow. They start wilting, or they start dying, or they start having diseases or stuff like that.
So it's time sensitive.
Very time sensitive. Even the movement of the seedlings, from seedlings to plants, is a problem. So I can't keep them too long in one phase. They have to keep growing. They have to keep growing and going into a different phase every single time, or else I'm gonna lose the whole crop.
Okay, you are harvesting now.
Yes.
What happens after this?
After this, I have to come back and clean all of these, take out the roots after this, and then bleach out the whole system.
So they won't grow again. You have to take it out.
I have to take it out completely and put in new seeds. And so what I was saying to you, that I have a production line. So there's already seedlings ready, waiting now for me to finish harvesting. So hence I was saying to you, if these takes long, those ones start suffering also.
Okay.
So they're very time sensitive. These ones have to be removed ASAP. With spinach, I could do that, but the biggest problem with this one is that when the plant grows, as you can see the size already, look at this.
Yeah.
Imagine if this was a stalk, at some point here, it's gonna start bumping each other.
Okay.
You understand? And then the next thing is touching the plant holder, we're having different fungal growth and whatever not. So I can't let them grow that much. So here, it's the spacing doesn't allow me to do certain crops, as I said earlier on also.
Okay.
So that's the biggest problem I have.
Okay. That's impressive.
Yeah, it's you need to be very cognizant of certain things when you work in this system. And hence I'm saying to you, it also affects your production and your revenue, because you're growing certain crops, and imagine you don't have that market now. What you going to do? You don't have the market, you have a lot of products, and they've overgrown also. So you can end up getting, and also because of, for example, with spinach, most people sell it to the informal market because there's so many people growing it, right?
Yes.
Now imagine they have to walk in here and harvest themselves, or you have to harvest twice a week. And as I said to you, I can't allow everyone to walk into this space because diseases spread very fast in here. So in that case, I can't allow them to be 5 or 10 of them to come and harvest in here. It will be a health hazard. I would have to control their safety also. You understand? It's a big hoo-ha in here. So the best way would be just to grow crops that I know that need less maintenance. So as I said to you, knowing what you're going to grow and knowing in the market for it makes you decide how you have to grow and what you have to grow.
Okay, that's impressive. So speaking of the vertical farming itself and the beauty of it, are there some challenges you face as a vertical farmer?
Firstly, crop selection, as I just said to you. Crop selection is the biggest thing I'm not happy about here. The other thing would be the need for electricity is bad here. That's the biggest thing. The need for electricity is quite serious because the system has to be maintained 24 hours, as I said to you. Another thing I do not appreciate also with the system is it's unforgiving. It's very unforgiving. As you can see, the plants working here, they die if you don't give them certain care. And the last thing would be, so it's electricity, plant selection is unforgiving, and the final thing would be it needs a lot of considerations. So if the temperature goes high, I need to consider that. Am I giving it the right nutrients? There's a lot of changes, and it's preferable if it's automated. So if it's automated, at least the things, you don't have to change them yourself. Everything that goes wrong just responds to your settings. It doesn't respond to you coming to look at it yourself.
So you have to measure the temperature here?
Yes. I have to measure the temperature, the EC of every single plant. So I go in the morning, I have to check every single, maybe 3 on that other end, 3 on this end, 3 on this end, the EC and temperature of the plants. And then I average that out. I have to check the temperature in overall. So there's like, you can see there's like a thermometer there.
Yes.
You can see there's one there, there's another one in the system, there's somewhere there, you can see it on the camera. But there's like 3 of them here in here also. So they measure the temperature, they measure the humidity. Everything has to be maintained at a certain time.
Okay.
And the solar also has to give it enough electricity. So I prefer solar as opposed compared to electricity directly.
Okay, that's amazing. Do people have some narrative when they hear you are a vertical farmer? Do they really think directly you're a farmer, or what do they think?
They think this is easy. They think it's much more easier than outdoors, but they don't realize as I said to you, the system is unforgiving, you know? And they don't have an idea because some of the things like EC, pH, temperature measurement, or temperature gradient is things that are not normally used in farming. Most people don't think about them in farming. So when you're in here, because the system does not have a buffer like soil to give it the right temperatures, that's the biggest problem you have now. You have to play nature, basically. So most people don't know those things. Don't know about EC, don't know about temperature control, don't know about humidity control. I don't know how much it affects. For example, if it gets too hot, I have to drop the EC. I can't let the EC go above 2.5. If it's cold, I have to drop it down to 2.2. I have to drop it down to 2.2. No, sorry, when it's hot, it's 2.2. When it's cold, it's 2.5. I have to increase the EC. But all of that, you won't even notice. You just see my plants growing and you're thinking they grow on their own, you know? Yeah. So those are the things that on a daily in the morning, Jay, just checking up on everything takes 30 minutes. Just to make sure the system is functioning and everything is working well. Just 30 minutes in the morning alone.
Okay. That's amazing. That's amazing. Is there market for vertical farming, or is just a market for crops?
There's a market for crops in general, but the people I'm currently supplying, they will prefer my plants because they come out in a certain way and they have less management. As you can see, all you need to do is just wash it.
Watch it.
It's done. Unlike the outdoors, they have fungal growth, there's a lot of things going on. This one is quite easy to deal with. and the management of it is quite, I can grow them faster than anyone else. So with the demand, I can also give it, like for example in summer when these plants start bolting, I have enough crops because I can maintain the temperature. So also they know they can discuss with me pricing easier because I have it throughout the year. So we could agree on one price.
Oh, okay.
For the market, and the market knows, okay, the price will be consistent. In that case, it makes it easier, sort of makes the market accept vertical farming more in that case.
So after this plant, you're done with this harvesting?
Yes.
You have to take out the water?
Yes, the water has to be taken out. The roots are going to be taken out. I'm going to bleach it to make sure that the next run doesn't have any fungal infection or algae or anything at all. Whatever disease was left over, I have to make sure that I take them out again, so the plant doesn't carry it again.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's important because also the first few days that I give the plants a certain type of nutrient, a certain level of nutrients actually. So I have to change that so that I can change the current level. Now the full strength nutrients, I would have to remove those nutrients and then start over again, wash the reservoir, wash these, and then give them higher quality nutrients.
Wow. This is amazing.
Yeah, but it's consistent work. That's the thing about it. I say I'm alone, but it's easier to deal with the things if you're willing to learn and see what's required from the system.
Okay. So what has been the most rewarding part of your journey as a vertical farmer?
Honestly, firstly, having a business. As I said to you before, I was developing the system itself. I was doing more research. It cost me an arm and a leg. I'd used my savings for that. So I didn't have an income. So the biggest thing for me is to have a running business where I can have an income. Second thing is that I'm developing something that I learned in varsity and I can apply it here, you know. It was hard not getting a job with the qualification I had, so at least it's good to have something I can put it to use with. Yeah, that's the biggest things for me personally.
Okay. I see you have green and purple lettuce.
Yes.
What are the differences?
Okay, this is loose leaf lettuce, this is oak leaf lettuce. So when they put them together, usually when you buy them in a shop, you find them with different varieties, a green one, a red one, and a bit of baby spinach also. So my customer, that's how they sell them. They sell them in pillowcases.
Oh, so they mix it up?
Yeah, 150, 200 gram plastics. So they like them like that. Sometimes when you get to your Spurs or you get to your restaurants, they give you salads.
Yes.
So your salads come in different colors. So this is where my customer takes them to. I said to you, these are loose leaf, those are more oak leaf. So these ones, as you can see, they grow much more bigger.
Okay.
And that's the reason why when you get them in those plastics, you get more green than red.
Oh, okay.
The red is much more expensive.
So after harvesting, where do you take them to? To the customers directly, or what is the process?
No. Because I'm harvesting a lot, I actually take them to the cold room first.
Okay.
So I store them in a cold room. Once I'm done harvesting all of the plants, then I take them out of the storeroom and go deliver them also. They have to be maintained in a certain temperature. It's very important because they wilt very fast.
So everything in vertical farming is science.
Thank you. Keep telling people. Here everything is meticulous. It's not your friend. In vertical farming, it's not your friend. It's not your friend. You might like it, but things change very fast.
And you know the funny part is, customers, when they want food, we don't ask whether, did you grow this in a vertical farm or whatever?
You don't see the difference. You only see the difference in the pricing. That's the only time you see the difference. When you start buying from Moody's or you buy them from Pick and Pay, you realize, oh, these products are not the same. In the quality, that's the only part that changes. Yeah.
That's why some supermarkets are more expensive.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because if you buy from me, you might find it at a lower price. But so I can't sell it to you because you're not gonna use so much of it.
Yes.
So some people might say, I want this much of this much of that. So imagine if I had all those customers.
Okay.
So if I'm saying the market first, then you decide what you're growing, then you can see, okay, fine, this is how I'm supposed to grow it and how I'm supposed to deliver it to that. So the science comes from there. But if you don't have that understanding and say, nah, I'm gonna sell it to the street vendors, they're gonna take it, they can't.
They don't care.
No, yeah, because this works so fast. I have to store it in cold storage in a matter of about an hour after cutting the dead.
So the plants from here weed so faster than the normal traditional farm.
Yes, they will die. In like the crops I have, just the crops I have currently, this lettuce, this type of lettuce, in the next hour, if I cut it off here and I leave it like this for about 10 minutes, it's dead. This thing.
Oh, because they are used to this particular temperature.
It's much more. It's also they have water inside. They can keep growing. It's cooler. Once you cut it out, it wilts. So this, like for example, this is why these old leaves die fast.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying too?
Okay.
So you need to have that also in consideration, or otherwise, as I was saying, you need to store them in cold storage now. Once I deliver them again, they have to be in a car or in a van that has air conditioning also. Because by the time I get to the customer, they could be dead.
Oh, okay.
So by the time they get to the customer also, they have to pack them in a pack house that's air conditioned. And then make sure they put them in those plastics, in those pillow packs with carbon dioxide also, and then store them for a while. And then they have to be stored in the fridge. That's why you always find them in the fridge. You'll never find it just this lettuce just laying around there on its own. But iceberg, you can find it there on its own, just sitting around. This one can't. It's very, very touchy. Very, very touchy. So that's why the price goes up also. Yeah, so that's another thing I was telling you, that this system is unforgiving. So if I don't clean the filters maybe, or I put them in a position where I thought there was water in it, and there's no water, they die. Okay. So this is over a day. You can feel it, it's a bit still wet.
Yes.
The plant is still living, you understand? Yes. But because there's no water, the plants die overnight. Okay. Literally, it sucks up all the water that was left over.
So even if you come the next morning and put in water, will it not rise again?
It's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone. Otherwise, it's gonna grow new leaves like these ones here. They grow new leaves, and then the rest of it looks dead on the bottom, and you have too much of it.
So within few minutes or few hours, it's gone.
Yeah, I told you, an hour max. If the temperature is really high, it gets to about 14 here. Wow. If the solar is out, these are dead. If the water is not running for the day, they're dead. If I'm not here at the right time, they're dead.
So even God forgive, but these don't.
Yeah, God forgives, but
medical
doesn't. Medical family doesn't forgive.
They don't.
They don't. So what happened here was that this line was pouring originally, then the filter got blocked. Okay. So it stopped pouring on this line. So it stops getting water, these die the next day. And I'm dealing with, as I was saying, I'm alone. I'm dealing with 5 other rows. I have no time to check all of them. Even if I saw it was dead, if the day I came in, for example, I came in to check on the water for that other side, I can't be starting to worry about these ones. You understand? So I have to come, after I finish that work, that's the only time I can come and clean these and kill them out.
I think this is even more hard work than the traditional farm.
Yeah, these were alive yesterday. That's why I was harvesting here. You can see I was harvesting here. Even yesterday I was harvesting this line in the beginning there. Today, these are gone.
Wow.
Overnight. This is overnight. It's not like, no, this is one line overnight. You saw while I was cutting here, these two were still alive.
Yes.
But this one line. And you didn't see that mistake. You don't know what it is. I still have to go and search and find out why did this line start blocking.
Yeah.
There's engineering also to this also.
Completely. So you are removing these leaves now?
Yes.
And you are dumping this?
Yes.
What happened to these ones?
These ones are either dead on the bottom here because of powdery mildew, or they're just not the quality I want.
Okay.
So one of the two things. So most of the time, as I was saying to you, the plant grows up until a certain point, it starts saying, I can't grow. So these older leaves tend to die faster. Here it is, you see? Here's powdery mildew, the white powder.
So how do you prevent this from happening?
Powdery mildew, as I was saying, pesticide.
Yes.
That's your best option, and your growing conditions. I grow my seedlings outside, so that's one thing that exposes them to powdery mildew. Oh, your conditions also, if it's too humid in here, powdery mildew comes. Okay. So it's something that you just have to control with pesticide. That's why I say most people say vertical farming uses 95% less water, doesn't use pesticide. Those are lies. Lies. Those are lies, because you can't. There's a fan here, you understand? Yeah. Those insects can pass through. There's holes in the plastic sometimes, so insects get to pass through. So there's different ways that you come into contact. That's what I'm saying. I can't allow a lot of people to come in here. People coming in here, working in here, they're working with different kind of things. So as we are in the farm, I don't let other farmers work in here. Because when they come from their farms, they could give my plants something else.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So that's where I get the powdery mildew. So I have to throw these away and make sure they're not close to everybody else's plants. Throw them very far away.
So what happened to these leaves? You throw them away?
Yeah, I throw them away. You need to throw them away. Don't give them to other people, because I'm in a big farm here. You don't want others being exposed to your sicknesses.
Okay.
So it's very important for my expansion to be able to introduce other crops and the next generation to this. So my expansion plans include obviously mastering lettuce, but then going into other crops.
Okay. That's amazing.
Yeah.
For our viewers out there,
Yes.
who are interested in vertical farming,
Yes.
or those who are interested in buying some lettuce or some crops you produce,
Yes.
vegetables you produce from your greenhouse,
Yes.
those who want training, those youth who are interested, who watch your video and are interested in becoming a vertical farmer, how can they get in touch with you?
So you can get me through the Bridge Academy. It's called the Bridge Academy. You can get it on all social media platforms.
Okay.
And the number to that directly, if you want more information on how to grow your business, excluding for vertical farming, we also do that. Business development and assistance with getting information on how to get funding also. So the number is 060-2211-857. For information, it's info@thebridgeacademy.co.za. So that's the site I'm working off now, because currently I don't sell to the public. I sell directly to a market. I told you I already have a market. But if you're interested in learning about this, the Bridge Academy is the best way to get into contact with me.
Okay, my brother, thank you so much for having us.
Pleasure is
really
mine.
appreciate.
The pleasure is mine. Thanks again for coming through.
We wish you the best in your vertical farming business and every other agricultural endeavor.
Thank you again.
No. Thank you so much, my brother.
Thank you for taking time to come and see me, Agricdeck. To everyone else, thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Sharp. Dear viewers, you heard it all from the vertical farming master himself. There's so much science in the food we eat. There's so much science in the plants we grow. Thank you for watching. If you are new to our channel, kindly subscribe, click the notification bell, like, comment, so you never miss an episode on Agricultural Matters. Until then.